How's it going today, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day so far. So in this video today, we are going to be talking about 5 things that you should stop buying or stop spending money on in 2020. So we're coming up on the new year here, and a lot of people tend to set New Year's resolutions around spending less money or saving more money. But the unfortunate truth is that most people fail entirely when it comes to actually sticking to these New Year's resolutions. In fact, according to US News and World Report, 80% of people fail their New Year's resolutions by February. They don't even last 1 month. So if you're serious about spending less money in 2020 and avoiding some of these problem areas, well then this is going to be the video for you. But unfortunately, a lot of people are just not willing to make those sacrifices that are necessary in order to commit to spending less money or sticking to whatever their New Year's resolution is. So I'm gonna make it as easy as possible for you guys here with this video, giving you guys 5 areas where you should just stop spending money. So number 1, let's get right into it, is going to be juuling or smoking cigarettes or any kind of vaping. Now, regardless of the health effects of vaping or juuling or smoking, just the financial side of this, it's a very dumb thing to be doing with your money. We've all talked about for years how expensive it is to be smoking cigarettes, but now that e-cigarettes and juuling has gotten more popular among young people, it's time to talk about how much it's actually costing you for the smoking of the Juul and vaping and using these different products. Now, myself included here, as embarrassing as it is, I used to have a Juul addiction myself a little over a year ago. I used to vape, and then I juuled for a while, and mostly for the health reasons I decided to stop, but it's also a massive waste of money at the same time. And the other thing you have to think about here is that you can't just consider the financial cost of smoking or using any of these other products. You also have to consider the long-term cost on your health. But even just considering the financial cost, just how much money are people spending on these types of products? So let's start with the Juul, for example. Your basic starter kit is going to run you $50, and then every 4-pack of pods that you use with the Juul is going to be an additional $20. And most people who Juul end up going through 1 pack of pods every single week, meaning it's going to cost you $50 up front and then $20 per week. So over the course of 1 year, if you're using 1 pack of pods every single week, it's going to cost you $960 plus the initial cost of the Juul, which is $50. So that Juul addiction could be costing you over $1,000 per year. And if you're smoking cigarettes, it's even worse. So here in New York, cigarettes are very expensive. They're up to around $13 per pack. And most people who smoke end up smoking 1 pack of cigarettes per day. So over the course of 1 month, that means you're spending close to $400 on cigarettes, which is a massive waste of money. So it could be costing you as much as $5,000 per year on cigarettes that we know are just horrible for your health to begin with. So juuling, smoking, doing anything of that nature, it's questionable or bad for your health, and it is terrible for your wallet. Alright guys, so the second thing to stop spending money on is your cable TV subscription. So I have a question to ask you guys, and that is, what does your cable subscription actually cost you? Most people are going to answer that question by telling me the cost of their cable bill, but there's actually an entirely separate cost that people don't talk about, and that is the opportunity cost of watching TV. And what that comes down to is the number of hours that you spend watching cable TV or watching TV in general. That time could be used doing something else, like maybe exercising or reading or anything like that. So you can't just consider what you're paying for that subscription. You also have to think about the amount of time you are spending consuming that television. Now, I personally ditched my cable TV subscription about 2 years ago. It was when I moved out of my parents' house, and when I had my first apartment, I just said I really don't need cable TV. I don't want to waste time watching TV, and instead I mostly just watch YouTube and I take advantage of other streaming services out there. So instead of spending money on a cable TV subscription, I follow the other strategy of just bumming off of other people's Netflix and Hulu. I do not have a subscription to either one, but I have friends who have both of these, and so I just logged on to their accounts and I just use theirs if I ever want to watch Netflix or Hulu. And then the other thing I take advantage of is the Amazon Prime Video content, since it's basically something I'm already paying for with my Amazon Prime subscription. And as I've mentioned before, I'm a big fan of the Jack Ryan series. So just how much money are people spending on their cable TV subscriptions? Well, Consumer Reports did a study on this back in 2018, and they found that the average price consumers paid for their cable bill was $217.42 a month. That is an astronomical amount of money to be spending on cable TV. Not only are you wasting money on this, but it's taking away your valuable time, so the opportunity cost for this is huge as well. Now, more and more young people are cutting the cord, and to be honest with you guys, I wouldn't be surprised if in 20 or 30 years, having a cable TV subscription is just so uncommon that you would be amazed if someone had one. Kind of like a landline telephone. But if you are somebody who's still paying for that cable TV subscription, cut the cord, take advantage of YouTube and then other cheaper streaming options as well. Alright guys, so the third thing to stop spending money on is expensive hotels. And what I'm suggesting instead is considering using Airbnb rather than always just booking a hotel. And I'm not saying that you should avoid hotels altogether, but what I'm simply saying here is consider Airbnb as an option as well, and always price out the difference between what it would cost to book a hotel versus using Airbnb instead. So I am personally a huge fan of Airbnb. I travel probably at least 12 times per year, and I would say 90% of the time I book Airbnbs instead of a hotel. I often find the location is more desirable, and there's usually amenities and added bonuses that you just don't get with a hotel. And on top of that, I almost always find that it saves me money. And I feel like a lot of people out there have these concerns about Airbnb where they're thinking, oh, I'm afraid to stay in someone's home, or, what if somebody, comes in while I'm there? And I feel like a lot of these concerns are just overblown at this point because of the review system and all of the checks and balances in place. And I have personally stayed in probably 24 Airbnbs. I've even hosted Airbnb at my house here for an experiment with making money, and I had over a dozen guests come through. I never had a single issue with anybody, either hosting with Airbnb or traveling through Airbnb. So personally, guys, I'm a huge fan of it. If you've never tried it before, I would recommend it, just considering it as an option and looking at the prices of a hotel versus Airbnb. And at the end of the day, when you're booking through Airbnb, that money is oftentimes going to, families or couples or actual people rather than giving money to a large corporate hotel chain. And I just kind of like the idea of that rather than just giving money to these big companies. Alright, so the fourth area that you should look at spending-wise is expensive college educations, particularly going to a 4-year private school. Now, before I say this, guys, I just want to make sure I'm not, hating on college here or saying that it's a bad idea. I personally went to college and I got a 2-year associate's degree from a local community college. All that I'm saying is that you should consider other options out there aside from just that 4-year private education because of how expensive it is and how the job market has changed. And the thing is, guys, I know a lot of people personally that are tens of thousands of dollars, if not $100,000 or more in student loan debt from a private education. And the thing is, there are a lot of opportunities out there that don't require that level of expensive education. So using myself, for example, when I went to community college, I got a 2-year associate's degree in electrical construction and maintenance, which cost me about $12,000 over the course of 2 years. And then I was able to get a job working for my local power utility that paid me over $60,000 per year at the age of 20. So there's a lot of opportunities out there that simply do not require these 4-year educations anymore. And after decades of these 4-year educations being pushed on young people as the only path for success, well, now we're finally seeing massive shortages in certain areas like the trades, like being a plumber or an electrician, or also in the healthcare industry. So there are really high quality and high paying jobs that don't require massive student loans and these 4-year educations. So I'm not against college, guys. I'm just saying all options should be considered, and that just getting that 4-year education shouldn't be something you just automatically go out there and do, especially at a private school. Alright guys, so the fifth and final thing on my list here to stop spending money on is bottled water. Now in fairness, I actually bought this case of water for my Airbnb when I was doing my listing, so I didn't buy it for this video, I already had it. But bottled water is a huge waste of money, and even if you don't do it for the money aspect of it, think about the environmental aspect of bottled water, because I get it, most people are responsible and they recycle their bottles, but not everyone is. And a lot of empty plastic bottles end up in the trash can. Now, I understand where this comes in because it's extremely convenient to have bottled water. You don't want to have to worry about filling up a pitcher in the fridge, or maybe you don't like the taste of your tap water, but it's honestly costing you a lot of money and it's just bad for the environment. And honestly guys, comparing the cost of bottled water to tap water is unbelievable. According to a study by Convergix Group, consumers are spending 300 times the cost of tap water on bottled water. So can you think of anything else out there that you would spend 300 times more money on just for the convenience? And look, I understand that a lot of people simply do not like the taste of tap water, or they're worried about what's in the tap water. So even so, let's compare the cost of bottled water to using a pitcher filter offered by Brita. So if you're drinking 1 case of water per week, when you factor in the cost of the bottled water plus the redemption, assuming that you're not actually bringing that to the recycling center, because who honestly does that at the end of the day, it's probably costing you about $5 per week for a case of water. Over the course of 1 year at $5 per week, that's gonna cost you $260 per year, plus over 1,200 empty plastic bottles are generated. So the basic Brita water filter, which is the pitcher that you put in the fridge, costs $16.99, and the first filter is included. Now they recommend changing that filter every 2 months, which means you would have to purchase 5 additional filters throughout the course of 1 year. Now those filters on Amazon are going to run you $4.50 a piece. So over the course of 1 year, the cost of the initial Brita water filter pitcher and 5 additional filters is going to be $39.49 compared to spending over $250 on bottled water. So as far as drinking water goes, you have 3 options here. Number 1, spend next to nothing drinking tap water. Or number 2, if you're worried about the flavor of the water or whatever may be in there, you could use a Brita water pitcher with the filter or some other water filter for about $40 per year. Or by spending money on bottled water, it's costing you as much as $260 per year. So anyways guys, that's gonna wrap up this video. Thanks so much for watching. If you stuck around to the very end, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell for notifications of any future uploads. And also let me know down in the comment section below if you think you're going to follow any of these tips for 2020 or other things that you think people should just stop spending money on in 2020. So that's going to wrap up this video, guys. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.